Happy New Year, folks, and welcome to the first video of 2022, the first episode, of course, of WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the New Year's Eve edition of the SmackDown LowDown from Saturday, December 31st, 2022. We had Jackie Redmond, Matt Camp back in the studio, breaking down what I thought was a great episode of SmackDown on Friday overall. A lot of newsworthy things happening. New SmackDown Women's Champion crowned and Charlotte Flair. John Cena back in the ring. Drew McIntyre returning. The first Bray Wyatt LA Knight match made official for the Royal Rumble, among other things happening on Friday. Good show. My full audio review of that episode is available right now here on the channel from yesterday, so check that out when you get a chance. But here on the SmackDown LowDown, after they run down the biggest headlines from the show, they recap the Solo Sikoa versus Sheamus match that was won by Sikoa, as well as the return post-match from Drew McIntyre, who I don't think we've seen him on WWE TV since Survivor Series, since his team lost on that show. So Megan Moran catches up with Drew McIntyre backstage after the show, and he says that Tampa was the perfect place to return. He's not from Tampa, but he at one point lived in Tampa, so to be back in that building was a really cool moment for him. He says that he's coming for Solo Sikoa, and he plans to win the tag team titles next week with Sheamus from the Usos on the first SmackDown of 2023, and also take down the Bloodline. So really nothing new from Drew McIntyre. Back in the studio, Redmond and Camp preview said tag team title match for Friday's SmackDown. When Jackie asks Camp, how do you think the Usos can be beaten? We've constantly talked about it here on the SmackDown LowDown. What will it take to beat the Usos? And Matt Camp says, listen, I don't know how the Usos can be beat. It's clearly been shown in the last year and a half that no one so far has had what it takes to beat the Usos, but they can come close. They also recap the Ronda Rousey and Raquel Rodriguez SmackDown Women's Championship match before getting immediately into Charlotte Flair's return, where she beat Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. As far as why Rousey accepted the challenge, when Jackie asks him about that, Matt says that, listen, Rousey's been more confident, she's been more arrogant this year in 2022 as a two-time SmackDown Women's Champion. So that's why she accepted the challenge. It backfired, obviously. Then he also teases maybe we'll see some new faces in the title picture coming into 2023, whether it be a Tegan Nox or, Liv Morgan really rose up this year through the ranks on Raw and again on SmackDown. So who knows? It might be Liv again. It could be Tegan Nox. It could be Sonya maybe. Xia Li, who knows? Time will tell. Speaking of which, they also recap Xia Li attacking Tegan Nox 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, costing her the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, and also beating her in last week's Gauntlet match on SmackDown. So, Megan Moran attempts to interview Tegan Nox backstage before being interrupted very quickly by Xia Li, who says that, listen, no one cares what you have to say. I can beat you anytime, anywhere. And then Tegan, after Xia Li walks off, she tells Megan, my New Year's resolution is beating Xia Li, is taking on Xia. She basically said her New Year's resolution is Xia Li, and that was it. I'm not sure why they couldn't air this on SmackDown, because I was left wondering why they did the angle. I was thinking going into SmackDown LowDown, just in general over the weekend, why did they do that with Xia Li and Tegan Nox on SmackDown 2 weeks ago? They followed it up, but not really in the Gauntlet match, because Xia won kind of with ease and within minutes, which was complete fucking bullshit. I like Xia Li, but she's been positioned as a loser for so long now. It's hard to take her seriously beating a newer person like Tegan Nox, so I would prefer over Xia Li. Xia Li is quite good, but they have done nothing to make me care about Xia Li in the last year. So anyway, I thought that was weird. I appreciate they furthered the storyline here. They furthered the angle. Well done. I just wish they had done something along these lines on SmackDown. Like, no talk whatsoever on the SmackDown LowDown or SmackDown itself of Karrion Kross and Rey Mysterio. They have been very slowly furthering that storyline in December, and there was no talk of it or any acknowledgement of it whatsoever on SmackDown this week, which I thought was a little weird. But anyway, they also recap the John Cena and Kevin Owens tag team main event win over Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Matt Camp says that Owens and Zayn, despite what Owens says, will always be intertwined. Their careers will always be intertwined, whether it be as rivals, partners, frenemies, whatever. They will never be done with each other. And he also says Sami's probably going to have to apologize to Roman Reigns at some point in the next couple of weeks, considering he was the one who took the pinfall loss for his team. The Tribal Chief is not going to be happy. They recap the Bray Wyatt LA Knight segment that started SmackDown, where, as I mentioned, they made the match official for the Royal Rumble, the Pitch Black match, and they preview that match. They replay the opening segment from SmackDown, Uncle Howdy laying out Bray Wyatt, They kind of speculate, oh, what's going on with Uncle Howdy? And then they preview said pitch black match for the Royal Rumble. What the fuck that even is, I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out come the show. They also replay the Imperium and Braun Strowman segment, where Imperium got the better of Braun before Ricochet made the save. Ricochet tells Megan Moran after the show, I feel like Ricochet's on the show a lot. I feel like he's every other week on the SmackDown LowDown. But anyway, it was like Damage Control there for a while. Damage Control, if they weren't on Raw Talk, they were on SmackDown LowDown. If not, on both shows in the same week. Thankfully, that has not happened in a while. But anyway, Ricochet said that he and Strowman have built a friendship with each other in the last couple of months. He had Strowman's back on SmackDown. As far as Top Dollar goes, he's not a good sport, he says, after what happened between the two on SmackDown backstage. He's going to handle business with Top Dollar next week on SmackDown and get him one step closer to entering and winning, I laugh, the Royal Rumble match, which of course he won't, but it would still be great to have Ricochet in the match. I assume he will be in the match. He should be in the match first by beating Top Dollar next week on SmackDown. In the studio, Camp and Redmond preview that Ricochet Top Dollar matchup. Matt Cam says that 2022 is a big reestablishing year for Ricochet. As far as Top Dollar goes, he's got to prove himself, and he's got to do so with a win. They also preview Gunther and Strowman for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown in 2 weeks' time, which I'm looking forward to as well. So solid stuff here from the SmackDown Lowdown. They did have the holiday edition after all, last week on Christmas Eve, and again this week on New Year's Eve. So they did not take a week off as they did with Raw Talk this past week, because there was no real Raw on Monday. It was a best of show, so no Raw Talk review, but that will be back this coming week. And that was it. So thank you guys for checking out my first video of 2023, my review of this edition of the SmackDown Lowdown. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have a very happy New Year, folks. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.